We had some missed opportunities today, but better lessons on how to manage our trades and how to stay patient for that next one. If we look at here on the charts, I was long on ES, another slow one. Yesterday was extremely slow price action that we had to sit through, and I walked away with a little bit of a win. You can look at that video I posted that the other day as well. But similar to today, I'm looking for the longs with sellers not able to break us lower. So first, before we go into that, hopefully you've all seen Futures 2.0, which is my course that I built on AceFX TV. You can actually get access to it for free now. If you just use code FIRST, you'll get your first month for free. What you'll see when you go through the strategy part of it, if I never really want to take the break of a high or low on the opening range, the first break, right? A lot of the times for this reason, it doesn't really follow through. And sometimes it's just straight up inducement that to take the second break would be more optimal, because now it's telling me that sellers had the strength to break out of it not once, but now twice. That we want to make sure it's not just breaking outside to induce shorts, trap a bunch of people going short, and then just rip their face off. But when you can see the inverse of this, of a hold of New York, and it breaks down lower a second time, okay, cool. That was an inducement. I actually should be short here. But with the buyers stepping right back in, this is why I like the longs. We're just slowly crawling higher here above the New York VWAP. Not my most optimal price action. I could have maybe got even a little bit better of a price. But let's take a look at, if we remove all these drawings, the overnight VWAP. If we put that on, I don't know why it's yellow. If we turn that on, that's our black overnight. The reason I like the longs coming into the open is because we're above this overnight VWAP. And this pin down that you see is this inducement down there that sellers could not hold us lower. Okay, cool. So I want to find the longs because buyers are defending above this overnight. So when I'm finding this long, if I circle it, you can see we're above the overnight VWAP. I like the longs. Trend continuation, VWAP alignment, not full VWAP alignment, because you can see on the left side here we have start of week and previous days New York VWAP above us. That could definitely be better, but that is setting a line for the target on our longs. So let's jump in on my management on this long, because I didn't break my rules, but I definitely could have walked away with some money. So the first thing you'll see is, inversely to what I just said on the downside, not chasing the first break of opening range high, see buyers defend it. Now that we're trying to get out of it a second time, now I'm more interested. So that's the reason for the long now. Stop loss at the opening range low. The biggest lesson of all this. Could it cover structure? Sure, but that's a lot of room. I would not want this to break the opening range low if I'm looking for longs. So I'm covering all my bases that way. The reason I say that is if I had a little bit better of a price around this New York, you can see the risk reward is a lot better. But I'm getting in pretty much at the high of the range with the stop loss at the low. Not the best, not the worst. It is only 9 points. And we do get a little bit of push higher. Okay, cool. Buyers are in control. Let's go make a new high and try to go get as close to 1R as possible. So lesson one is not to break my plan, but could have maybe scalped some of it out of there, right? Make some money on Monday, make a little bit more here on Tuesday. But I wanted to see the idea through. I wanted to see it follow through, that we're finally breaking out of this range. Okay, let's wake it up and go move inverse to what we did yesterday. But it comes right back inside the range, but not to fear. We're still making higher lows on the bottom, and we're respecting above this New York. So I still like the longs. And you can see I like the longs so much, I added into them because it really respected New York VWAP well here for about 10-15 minutes. And as we're about to get that strong break above high day VWAP, I added in just because it's the same price, so my price didn't move. And I'm thinking I like the longs, I like the retest of this VWAP. We're still building higher lows down here. Now we're going to go get that next higher high. So let me put on a little bit more size because I have reason to, right? Another signal is presenting. If you look at it this way, this on its own would be its own signal. So I like it. So I added in. But it wasn't ready to go. It comes all the way back down, still trying to hold the New York, still trying to hold the New York. And it makes its way finally higher. But I didn't win because adding that risk in, if you read all these notes, I know it's a lot. The original stop was down here at open range low, right? Makes sense. But with the add-in of risk and the more we've held structure, now I'm moving my stop loss up with the add-in just to kind of reduce risk by adding in, right? Tightening the stop. But also because with the break of high debut up there, this is now current structure. This is previous. This is previous. I don't think I need a stop loss at open range low anymore. That's a lot of levels to the left. So I also felt comfortable moving it up, thinking we probably don't want to go down there. And I was right. But with the add-in, my risk was now technically too heavy to have this bigger stop. And you could argue it could have just been down here at that structure point right in the middle of the range. Still very, very close. Could have gotten taken out either way. But I had it at this pin back here to the left, just below these retests. Just takes me out. I actually survived that wick. I got taken out on this strong candle here, which was the bottom. So that's always fun and cool. Still, wasn't ready to move higher, but then it does eventually go with the trend. So let's clear some of this up. We added in, that's what caused the loss, but I think it was a valid add-in. It was giving me reason to believe that buyers are really holding in. It's giving me another entry signal within itself. That's when I would look to add in because I'm almost taking a second trade, but it's the same trade. But let's keep that high day view up on. That if we don't take that break of it because it didn't hold, right? The next one after my stop out would maybe be there. It's not the strongest break, but if we do put a stop loss below structure at least, you can see it does survive and does make its way finally back up to the high day. We can now see in hindsight that this is the break that pays, and the longer it holds this New York, the better, but it's tough to know when it's finally ready to pop. But just notice how it still ultimately respects that New York. It's not always going to be perfect holds like this. This is still a hold. This is still a hold. This is still a hold. It's going to dip below it. We got to remember we're on the 1 minute chart that if I just blow up this 15 minute, you'll see all of it is above that overnight. I still need to be a buyer. I want to be a buyer. We're respecting above that black VWAP. Buyers are in control. I should be looking for longs. So that's why even more reason not to chase the shorts, because you think you see lower highs on top, right? You do see lower highs, but you got to keep in mind the VWAPs were above on the 15 minute. Structure overall on the day is still rising. We're still making higher lows from back here. So it's not really bearish structure. You're just seeing short term lower highs, but still big picture higher lows that ultimately win the battle and make that next higher high. So that's why I'm not concerned with the lower highs. I'm not even concerned about the lack of the ability to hold these high day VWAP breaks, because I know at any point it can, and it does. It does on this third time. So I could have made it some money, got stopped out early, but with the big size. But it is what it is. I like to read on things. My first trade could have been even better. You could even argue that I could have gotten in sooner, closer to this VWAP, right? Maybe after that bounce. So that way I'm risking 7 points. I get about 7 points out of it. Maybe I would have scalped it there. But since I'm not long until up here, risking 9 points now, I got like 5 out of it. And it looked good. So I wanted to hold through it. Right back into drawdown. So maybe the management, I could have been already out of this thing in 10 minutes rather than even potentially holding through all this. I mean, imagine if I did survive with the same stop loss down here, right? I'm not walking away with a win until I'm getting in at 10:15. I'm getting out at 12:15. Dang it. 2 hours? I mean, that's no thank you. I like money, but that's not what my best trades look like. Normally, it's a nice bounce. Here we go. Let's go continue the trend. But after that, new high a day, pull back to what? The same VWAP. New York VWAP. Another higher low, rips face into the afternoon. Strong rip into the afternoon. Now you look back on the day easily. Oh, yeah, this thing is so bullish. Why was I ever looking for shorts? Why did I ever question my longs? So it really came down to today, stop loss to allow it to do what it wants, because it's not always going to be as clean as we want it to be. That sometimes you'll get away with putting a stop loss right here, and you happen to have timed it perfectly because the trend is super strong. But other days you'll get in long here and it's not done. It wants to play around and chop around, and you need to have a stop loss that gives it that space. And we don't know which day is going to be what. That's why we just got to do it for all the trades. So hopefully you guys made money today. You can also see the VWAP we had was yesterday's New York. Couldn't get above it. But once we got above this New York, there's a bounce play in there for sure. It's also off the open range high again, which is super clean. The next key level that if we play that off, let's put a high day VWAP on. Again, I didn't even see this. The high day VWAP break is there. Stop loss, you can get a nice 1R maybe up to that same level in case it can't break for a new high day. That's on the break, which is pretty similar to the bounce anyways. It's pretty close that they happen, but either way, there's money to be made in that move. You could even argue if you put a high day there, it retests to the open range high. No break there. There's a small break of open range high and high day VWAP there. That one's going to lose because you have current structure here, previous structure maybe back there. I mean, we're not going to go all the way down there. So this break is going to lose for you, but then the next one pays off for you. So I say there's definitely some money to be made on the longs, but some losing trades, aka mine. But I know some people on stream did scalp it very nice. So we had some people long on this bounce off the New York, scalped it up very quickly, or scalped it up there. So there's always money to be made in these little moves. I was just trying to see it through a little bit longer, but I'm not too upset with the management. I think if it were to rip higher, I definitely would have liked my add-in and think it was very well executed because it was giving me reasons to, so I didn't really question myself. It wasn't adding in out of greed. It was like, this is actually smart because it's highly probable that we win now. And it would have been, but just an hour later. So appreciate Appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you guys check out the streams. Like I said, you can use code FIRST to join all the streams, learn the strategy, and as well as the top one. Top one's running a sale till the end of the week, depending on when you're watching this. We might have already done the giveaway, but any purchase you make between now and August 31st will automatically get you an entry into that giveaway. So if it's past then, you can still use code Evan. It's always going to get you the best deal. It's just not going to be running a giveaway at that point. But trade safe. I'll see you guys on the charts tomorrow morning.